detective. Thrill me.
Welcome back to the Thrill Me podcast. Jared and Gibbo have returned. Maddie stepped away for this episode. We're covering 2000's Russell Crowe vehicle, Gladiator.
What a vehicle.
Good to see Russ. Russell the Rock, sorry, not Russell Crowe, Russell the Rock.
That's right.
I'm sure Jared will give us a rundown on Russell's history. But before we get into that, we'll do a little bit of up or down. The first one... I can't say it with a straight face. Do it with a straight face. The trailer for the Jason Statham shark film, The Meg, came out a couple of weeks ago. I cannot say enough how bad this is. The trailer looks terrible. Absolutely terrible. It's directed by a guy called John Turteltaub, and he did National Treasure. Oh, good. They're good. So that's a good sign. And Statham, I love the Stath. Love him. But this movie's budgeted at $150 million, and... Fuck, you can't see it on screen in those trailers either. No. Statham's a good, solid ensemble guy. You know, the Fast and the Furious films, the Expendable films, things like Spy. Like, he's really good in those. Crank. But even the Transporter, where he led it... Transporter was good. They were good, but they didn't make millions, like hundreds of millions of dollars. Maybe they built the whole underwater science lab for real. They must be where the money went. They must have, because it's not in the CGI of the show. It's like a waste of money. It's a definite down for me. If they make that budget back worldwide, I'll be blown away. I can see this submarining. Am I to assume you're a down too? I'm a very hard down, mate. I can see this sinking a few movie studios. Someone will have their names printed up as this is a triple finance by 3 different studios. Yeah. They'll all be under. Get your houses on the market, guys. Things have gone bad. It looks really poor on my wife had the CGI looks bad, everything looks bad. It came up on Facebook and she's like, is this for real? And I'm like, well, joke. Yeah, I hope it's tongue in cheek. They're selling it as tongue in cheek, which you can only do for this sort of movie. Well, my wife looked at it and said, is this a joke? And I said, I hope so. And I read the book back in the day. Very expensive joke. I read the book back in the day. It was like a B grade pot boiler sort of book. That, you could kind of understand why it would get heat from perhaps being made into a film. But it was, it's been floating around for 10 years, hasn't it? This should be longer. This should be an Adam Sandler Netflix movie. That's what this should be. Not a $150 million summer blockbuster supposed to tempt whole studio. As I said before we went on air, Jaws, the book, was poop. And Jaws the movie was good, excellent. Though. This is not that. Only because Jaws the movie, they looked at the book and went, we jettisoned this, and this. They cut all this bullshit out of it. So maybe. But last time I checked, you didn't spell. Spielberg wasn't pronounced Turtletail. Last time I checked. Do you think they went to Spielberg with this at any point? And then he just went, no, thanks. Do you want to get an executive producer on this, Steve, and give us a few pointers? And he just hung up. Yeah. I think, look, I'll be honest, if the up or down's based on whether I'll check it out, it's an up. We're all going to watch it. We're not idiots. It looks but it's going to be terrible. I can throw away $20 like anyone. These movie guys are throwing away $150. All we have to do is listen to any of our what have you been watching lists, and we'll check out fucking anything at this point. Pretty much. So look, I'm not going to the cinema for it though. No, just on principle. I'm interested to see a flick about a giant shark, but I watched the preview and I'm just thinking it looks silly. Yeah, like the scene where they start going around where the sharks are around people. It looks like Piranha. Yeah. Like the remake of Piranha, which would be a fantastic thing if that's what it was. But do you know how far out in the ocean you'd have to be? You would have to be deep in the ocean, a shark that big, to not be noticeable. Spotted. So you would have to be 100 metres out. Easy. Yeah, it's not coming up and fucking nipping at your ankles when you're knee deep. The fucking thing big breaching like a submarine. Yeah. So, look, there are already problems. Look, I'm sure they've got lengthy explanations as to how that's going to work. Well, it seems like it's based around a research station in the middle of the ocean. Yeah. Which kind of nips out in the bud. But then it seems like it's on a resort. And then they throw in that song, that Sinatra song in the.
Oh, don't even start.
Which is again, it coming back to this is obviously tongue in cheek, but just don't.
Look, there's been a movie called Three-Headed Shark Attack, so there's been worse ones, but they didn't cost 150 million.
Well, I'm pretty sure that had sequels too, didn't it?
It did.
Fucking did.
Four-headed shark attack. Look, so everyone's down, really.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Down on it not being good, up on definitely watching it for a
At
giggle.
some point.
And just laughing at the people that gave money to make it.
Now,
It's so bad that I'm excited to see it.
Can't wait for this.
now,
I can't wait for Statham to roundhouse kick a shark in the face underwater. That's what I want to see.
so
The
do I.
physics
Now,
of
is
it are
anyone
mind-blowing.
buying Statham as a scientist?
No.
No. Like I said, it's basically the same as Mark Wahlberg as an inventor in Transformers. It's just
Unless he's studying the impact on your face after he kicks it.
like, the casting director needs to be fucking sacked. Like, who do we need for this? Who looks like a thinker? Jason Statham. It's got a huge forehead. Must be a lot of brains in there.
Yeah, who should we get for this? Oh, Statham looks like the perfect scientist.
It's a perfect mix of like a Jeff Goldblum and looks like a scientist.
See, Jeff Goldblum, that's the sort of guy you cast in this movie.
Yes.
Because Jeff Goldblum strikes me as a scientist. But Jeff Goldblum's not putting bums on seats. Neither Statham, mind you.
There's not going to be enough bums to get anyone out of trouble with this one. It's not going to matter.
Disclaimer. Look, Jason, I love you. I don't want you to come home.
So come and find us, Jason.
But you're not headlining this sort of film.
Yeah,
You shouldn't
he's got
be.
a-
This
he's got
is
a
too
lane.
much money to be
His lane's not 100 feet underwater in the fucking Mariana Trench looking for...
This is getting worse by the second. All right. Now, let's go with a bit of news. Some big news here. Some huge news.
Not good, but it's big.
Oh, it's good. It's all good.
The first bit of news is actually good, okay? First bit of news, Pet Sematary remake.
Oh, we're talking about different news.
I believe it's just started filming, I think, or is about to. Now, the main guy is actually being played by the Australian fella, Jason Clarke,
Oh, yeah.
who is I like a lot.
Yeah, he's good. When he's not John Connor, he's good.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
He was good in 0 Dark 30,
mate,
but
he had mortgage payments to make.
It wasn't his fault.
I also felt like he was the weakest part of the Planet of the Apes movie that he was in. I didn't like him in that either.
No, I thought he was
I
good
thought he
in
was
that.
good in that, and he was
But the,
understated. I liked it.
Yeah, Terminator Genesis is
'Cause you
just
had
Southern
Gareth-
Australia.
No one was good in that.
Yeah,
No
you
one
had
was
Gary
doing that.
Oldman in that Apes movie to go over the top and rant and rave, so you needed an
Gary is good
understated.
for that.
Yeah,
That's
Gary's
true.
perfect for that. But they just signed John Lithgow to play Judd Crandall,
I
the
love that.
neighbour. Super casting, great actor, love the bloke. Just don't know Australian accents from John.
Yeah.
I told you he's in Pitch Perfect 3. He
No
fucking
Australian
butchered it.
accents from
Butchered it.
anybody ever. They
He
can't do
butchered
it. Oh, Australian accents are the worst.
Terrible. But love the casting, love the idea of remaking it.
Who's directing it? Do we know?
Don't know. I think it's a couple of Spanish fellas or something. I can't remember exactly what they're well known for, but either way, I think it's a really good movie to remake.
It's
just to
been
iron out
long
some of
enough
those
now.
issues with it.
Yep.
And it could be really, really creepy.
Well, the first one had a lot of stuff going for it.
Yes.
So
So they can
Fingers
just iron
crossed
some
they
of those little things out.
tap into the
You
good
just
stuff.
Now, fellas.
here's the real news.
Here's the real news. Hit me with it.
Is the real good news.
Rambo 5.
Now, how long ago was this mentioned?
Today.
Today.
Pretty recent.
Still on.
Yeah.
I can't have it.
I can.
I can't have it.
I'm going to have the shit
But
out.
he's on.
I will be there. Don't worry. I'll spend $20 in that cinema for that.
He's in.
We should all go to the
talks
cinema together for
He's
that.
in
Oh,
talks to star and direct.
I
I'd be happy with him directing.
heard that he punted the directing
Can we-
part now.
Oh,
He's
okay.
back
Well,
off
as
that.
far as I know, he was a possibility to direct.
He was, but I think
So-
that's actually been withdrawn.
Because I'd be happy with him to direct and maybe.
He's doing some. He's helping with writing, but I think he pulled out on the directing side of it.
Can I say this
Great, so
instead?
he can put all his efforts in front of the camera.
Well, maybe that's where he is now. Maybe he needs to do a bit more of the acting side of things.
Yeah.
Maybe this will be back
Listen,
more like
see-
Rambo 1.
So you were filthy on you were not pleased to hear about the premise of it all. Is that correct?
I just understand. Like he did the desert thing in Rambo 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's easily the worst one. We can all agree, right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in a while. I was saying 2 was
think
the
so.
worst.
I think 3's worse.
3's way worse than 2. I like his whole thing is jungle warfare.
Yeah, but they're coming to him now. He's got a ranch on the border.
He's in the desert. What's he going to do? Hide in a cactus? Like,
He's got a ranch on the border, and they've fucking run over his. He's run over his plants or his grass or something. He's the old man now.
His friend's daughter gets kidnapped by a cartel over the border, and he has to go over and rescue her.
Yeah, but that can happen if you're on a ranch, just trying to stay out of trouble.
All I'm going to say is this: the fourth one ended it right. Right.
Yes, agree.
Okay, he did the exact same thing with Balboa. He was able to bring Balboa back, but it's because of the way they did it.
Yep.
And Ryan Coogler and Aaron Covington, who made Creed, used him perfectly.
Yeah.
And he can live on for several films.
Yep.
Rambo cannot.
No.
Rambo cannot.
Yeah, he can.
He can.
Dude,
He's got access to more advanced weaponry. No,
he wouldn't know what to do with it.
He's going to be sitting in a bunker flying drones because I'm
shoot
out.
himself in the head with some of that
Mate,
stuff.
I am all in. Nothing is sacred.
What?
If they get it wrong, I'll piss and moan about it. But if they want to make
I would prefer Stallone to direct a sort of remake of First Blood.
What's the best way to kill someone with a walking frame?
I don't know,
That's
but I'll
where
tell
he's
you
at.
what, mate. If a man's 70 years old, he will need 40 bathroom breaks a day to get
Well,
through
that's my next
filming.
question. Maybe he's
That's
going to
all
strangle
right. He's
people.
got his
with
own trailer. They can get one on wheels and follow him around if they have to. But the guy, look, for a 70-year-old, he's in
excellent
still in
nick,
good
I'll give you
nick.
that.
Are we going to have to enjoy a shirtless shot?
I hope not. 'Cause
Yeah, probably.
He said he's gross.
It's when he's getting changed into the hospital gown to get his fucking
Yeah. So
Prostate exams. and fucking-
instead of unpacking like a stealth compound bow with like incendiary fucking heads and stuff, now is he going to be unpacking like a colostomy bag and just strangle people with the colostomy bag hose?
He's going to be unpacking a fucking stealth walking stick.
Here's my diabetes cap.
His walking stick's covered in bloody camo paint. Yeah.
Mate, I'm a huge fan. Like, I was devastated to miss the episode you guys did on Rambo 2. Like, I'm a massive Rambo fan, and I think 4 was a tasteful way to wrap that all up.
I think
Fucking Jesus.
Poor Rambo.
tasteful's not the word. He wasn't blowing people's heads
Poor
clean off.
yeah, when he's on the back of that Jeep with the 50 cal,
That
just
is
turning people
pretty
into red
nasty
paint.
stuff.
There was
But it's
people
perfect for what
fucking
Rambo was.
flying and, there was
I'd
shots
say
of them
fitting.
hitting
Can I
the
say fitting
walls
instead of
of houses.
tasteful?
Fitting's
Okay.
better.
Yeah,
Fitting.
But
And
I
then-
like the way it ended.
It just feels
he's
like
walking
money
down
grab now. It just feels like money.
the driveway to the ranch, and that's it.
He's
Yeah,
gone
now he's
home.
walking around the driveway to another ranch. So fucking,
But it's a different
nothing
ranch.
wrong.
It's not even the same ranch.
Yeah, but they bloody found him, so he had to go and disappear again.
Is he breaking rocks, or is he stick fighting, or is he putting fucking copper on top of a Buddhist temple? That's what I want to know at the start.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe he's bloody fixing roofs and orphanages down in
Maybe Captain
Mexico.
Snake.
Or is he handling cobras and shit? Because that
Not in fucking. Well, you never know what he's going to be doing. Is he in Mexico, or is he on the Rambo ranch at Dakota?
No, well, they said he's on the Mexican border or something like that. So, fuck,
Well, how did he get there from the last one? He went home to his dad's fucking ranch. It's like North Dakota or something
can't
like that.
drive
Yeah, but in the time he was away,
fair hike.
in the time he was away, that's probably the value's gone up. He needs to downsize. So he's fucking he's
they
sold up
moved into
and
a
bought a different
retirement village
I know
on
what
the
it is.
border of Mexico.
He had to go closer to Mexico because he needs weed for his glaucoma.
Yeah, it's like an El Rancho Relaxo. That's it.
He's so fucking old he needs weed for all of his ailments, and he's down there and then the cartel's on him. We've just sold all the story
He
writing
robs
shit.
one of their pot plantations
Yeah.
and they're not happy. No, I cannot get behind it. I'll be there though.
We're going together, I'm telling you right now. When it's in cinema, the
Only
three of us
because
are going.
it's like a car wreck. I want to see
We'll be
what
the only
actually
3 people in the
happens.
cinema, and it'll be brilliant.
It will.
Cox will be able to fart as much as he wants. We'll just have to give him a bit of space.
Yeah, well, yeah, not as much as Rambo will on screen, considering he's fucking 70 and can't.
You know one of those old guy farts
shit in
that's
his bloody body.
Like the real loose, just wet ones. Oh. What is he now? 70, he's 73, isn't he?
There'll be a couple of fucking follow-throughs.
I think he's 73. That's old, man. My nan's 73. She's not doing action movies, I'm telling you. She's morbidly obese. Even if she's fit, it's not a thing. She's had 2 knee replacements.
Yeah, well, Sly's had a shoulder
73.
replacement, hasn't he?
I think they removed Sly's heart and put in some fucking
Know your role, Sylvester.
fucking steroids or something.
Yeah, but look, that's challenging the character like he's never been challenged before. Can he get away from the cartel without
Maybe he finally comes
soiling his stride?
That's how he comes full circle. He's got to make peace with who he is.
Oh, look, I can't wait for it. Man, now you guys have sold me.
I'm actually more excited after this little chat.
I just want to see what it
Jared's
is.
crying with anticipation.
My problem with Sly is, and this is kind of what I said during the Rambo 2 discussion, I said that it was right in that peak of Sly's powers where no one could tell Sly, this is bullshit, mate. We should not be doing this. But Sly was on a high, mate. He's making tons of money. It just... Sly did whatever he did. Sly's a talented dude. Very talented guy.
And smart.
And very smart and a very good... Not only, you know, from an acting standpoint and a production standpoint, but he just seems to know what works.
Yeah.
But I just don't think this is a good idea. Like, you brought Rocky back, but you brought him back in such a great way. Don't fuck this up with bringing Rambo back like some sort of clown.
Yeah, but I'm sure before Rocky Balboa we were saying, oh fuck, this is a good idea. Rocky Balboa and Creed are two of the...
Yeah, but
excellent
Balboa,
movies.
that's what I mean. Balboa did such a great... But Rambo's a different kettle of fish. It needs to be violent
But he's done it once. He's brought it back successfully
10
once.
years ago, Jared.
Yeah, he's the...
Oh, fuck, 65, 75, tomato.
Yeah.
Shit.
I'm as nervous
Plus,
about
the
this.
man's on borrowed time. We need his meme Sly films.
Yeah, we do. We do. Oh, we need over the top too.
Yeah. See, that's where he's heading because he doesn't have to stand up. He can just sit in a chair and arm wrestle for
And he just needs to
2
go.
hours.
He doesn't need to put it in any other part of his body, just in his bicep. Oh, look,
You
I'll
talked
be
me into that too.
Didn't take much.
All right, let's take a break. Here's the trailer for 2000's Gladiator.
Caesar is proud to give you alien spectacle!
On May 5th, the stage is set, the lines are drawn, and the battle begins.
At my signal, unleash hell.
From director Ridley Scott, Gladiator, rated R.
Gladiator from 2000, directed by Ridley Scott, who gave us Alien and Black Hawk Down.
Laser focused.
Laser focused. At the moment, he has never done so many movies. So he's just... I mean, he's on borrowed time. Ridley thinks he's going to die any minute.
Yep.
He's just making movies.
And probably for the best too.
As
for
we've
his
said
legacy.
previously, Ridley's planned 5 Alien movies, failing to get the fucking first one right.
Yeah, I know. It's produced by David Franzoni, Franco Lustig, and Douglas Wick. The story was by David Franzoni, and he gave us King Arthur and Armistead.
Ugh.
The screenplay was by Franzoni, John Logan, who wrote Skyfall, and William Nicholson, who wrote Les Miserables.
Right. Which King Arthur are we talking about? The most recent one with Charlie Hunnam?
No.
Oh, good. That's all right.
The previous one, which was also shite.
Also shite, but not as shite.
It stars Russell Crowe as Maximus, Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus, and Connie Nelson as Lucilia. The budget is $103 million, and the box office was $457 worldwide. Now, some interesting trivia about my old mate Oliver Reed.
Oh, yeah.
Massive fan of Oliver.
There's lots of stories about
Plenty of
Oliver
stories
Reed from
about
this
Oliver. But right before filming their scene together, Oliver Reed asked... Now, this guy's name is Omid Dajali. He plays the slave trader early on.
The one that grabs on the nuts.
He said, "Are you a method actor?" Before squeezing his testicles throughout the scene. So he's actually got hold of him by the Jats crackers.
I heard this one, yeah.
Obviously, there's a sack squeeze in this film, which means it fits nicely.
It fits, yeah, ticks that box.
Perfectly.
Criteria.
Because there was a bit of question marks on, is this really an action film or is it a drama? As soon as that guy gets his nuts squeezed...
Action movie.
Good
Straight
enough
in.
action. It's got a testicle.
Arnold Schwarzenegger rolled in his grave somewhere.
Did you hear the additional bit though? I read a blog by the bloke talking about that.
Oh, the testicle guy?
Yeah. He held it between scenes. He held his knackers between scenes and then says to him, so have you travelled places, blah, 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 starts having a chat, and he said by the third or fourth take, he said to me, "You realise this is a stitch-up, right?" Yeah. But they liked it so much they left it in there.
I've heard, there's lots of stories about Oliver Reed, obviously. There's a fair bit of conjecture about the fact that he and Russell Crowe almost came to blows a bunch of times.
Oh, that's like, for Russ, that's like saying g'day.
No, but Oliver Reed wanted to fight him.
Two pretty heavy. I mean, Reed was a
Alphas.
massive pisshead.
Yeah.
And
they're both alpha
alphas
dickheads for the most part.
So I can see that.
Russ is a conundrum for me because he seems like such a goose and he's always punching on with everyone. But then you hear all these stories around Sydney of how he just fucking randomly shows up and puts up a fucking basketball ring for these kids that wanted one and disappears and the man's a mystery.
And also sometimes when you hear him interviewed, he's all right. He seems all right.
He does. He
seems like
a
a decent cat.
Then he
He throws a phone at some bloke in a hotel.
And then he asks if 30 odd footer grunts can play a tune on your show. And no, sorry, Russell.
Are you going to be involved?
We're booked solid, right? I'm sorry, mate. We won't be able to fit you in. There was another thing that I read in the trivia was he started blowing up because Ridley Scott asked him to actually put himself on tape for the film. Like, we're not just going to give you the role, you're going to audition for us.
Yeah.
And fucking Reed was blowing up the lights.
Do you know who I am?
I'm the star. And some bloke was a mate of his was like, "You're not a fucking star, just get out there."
He was
Get in there and audition for the bloke, you idiot.
He was a pretty big deal, though.
He was back in the day, and my favourite story is he was up for a role in Cutthroat Island,
Oh, yeah. Fit.
and he rocked up to Malta to meet with Rennie Harlan, was shit-faced, proceeded to tell them, "Nobody tells me what to do," dropped his tweet.
Well, got his dick out.
Yeah, right. And they said no thanks.
What was he trying to prove by getting his cock out? Yet to be confirmed.
I love it.
To be determined.
I love how those two thoughts ended up together. Nobody tells me what to do. I'm going to drop my pants.
Well, he was just trying to come up. He was trying to show that this is what I mean by nobody tells me what to do. I drop my fucking pants whenever I like. Oliver's got a long
Bit of a
story
character.
history.
He did himself a favour there, though.
Yeah, he did. He probably knew it was a turn. He did himself a favour in this one by going on film to audition because he could have missed out on this too.
Yeah, it's a great role for him.
Now, admittedly, he did die during this.
Yes.
The CGI, I couldn't really see it.
There's not much of it. They
only
just had to do
a couple of-
patch-ups and they do a couple of backhead shots and stuff like that. It's not a huge deal.
And there's one scene in particular, the last one, basically before he dies.
Yeah.
The scene where he goes in and lets Maximus out is
And he's-
the main one.
Yeah, are
he's
you in
standing-
danger of being...
And
good
the lighting looks a little bit weird.
Yeah, for the time, it's okay. Like, if you weren't looking for it, it'd probably pass you by.
Yeah.
Because they try to cover it up for the most part, and when it's close up, it's just a couple of quick looks at him. So
Yeah, it looked pretty good because I couldn't even tell. All right, Jared, let's start with you, mate.
yeah, okay. So I remember watching this at the time it came out and loving it. I was a little bit colder this time. The action sequences are pretty stunning in parts. The cast is outstanding. But the bits that left me cold were the kind of dramatic parts. There's a couple of stirring speeches that do the job, but it feels a bit bloated. It feels like sometimes they could have trimmed a bit of the fat, and the stirring parts, the parts that are supposed to be stirring just aren't sometimes. And then when you get into the crux of it, some of the big speeches and all that they put on actually hide that or try to hide, and in my opinion don't for some of the parts, that it's not that much deeper than your standard good action script, or it doesn't have a lot of those, massive sort of dramatic elements or these massive sort of character developments. So I think I settled on a 3.5. And I was, there was just parts of it where I was a little bit bored. I thought they could have trimmed it and cut out a few of those back and forths with some of the characters at times. So, 3.5. Still a very, very good movie. I was just, I don't know, maybe it was kind of the expectation that I had from the last time I watched it, and I just didn't get there. So, yeah.
I can understand what you're saying because I'm not a sword and sandal guy. Like I'm not really a big.
I'm more of a tits and dragons man.
Yeah. But this sort of stuff's not my bag.
Yeah.
And I agree. It could, to some people, I could understand why it would feel bloated, while it's not really as deep as it seems, and there are parts that don't cut it. But strangely enough, I've watched this movie twice in the last 5 years, and all of it works for me.
And you were gripped. Like Oliver Reed had Holy Crackers.
You sold me a bit rough.
This is a 4.5 for me, and I put this as one of the best movies of the last 20 years for me.
Fuck, that's a big call.
It just always grabs me. Like, even when I pulled out the DVD, I thought, shit, I'm not really that looking forward to this. And then I was fucking gripped. Like Oliver Reed had hold of my testicles. It's gripping, and it is great big budget filmmaking. And the reason why I say that is there's a $103 million budget, but it's all there on the screen. It's not wasted on bullshit.
And giant sharks.
Yeah. It is all there to see.
Yeah.
And Ridley Scott is super laser focused now. He's lost the focus, but he's always been a good visual director. And here he just nails it. All those action scenes are just outstanding. Like, they're outstandingly done. And he was in a real purple patch around this time. He had this, then a year later he had Black Hawk Down, which is even better, I think, as far as the action stuff there. And he's just really good visually as well, because there's a couple of sequences where I'm just looking at it and I'm just thinking, wow, this looks so good. So it's a real winner for me, which is a surprise, because I thought I'd look back on it now and think a bit like you, 3.5 solid without being outstanding, but I loved it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm closer to you. I'm at a 4.5 as well, so I'm very close to you, obviously. For the most part, when this first came out, I was the same as Jared. Like, I loved it back in the day. Like, this is like one of the best movies ever made. This is fucking awesome. It is a bit of a slower burn now rewatching it, but some of the performances, Joaquin Phoenix in this is fucking incredible, and Russell Crowe, he does so much little stuff when you watch it and looking for it nowadays. Like, I used to just watch it for the battles and that sort of thing. You watch some of his acting in it, the way he transfers and it conveys what he's thinking and stuff. It's really top shelf. Oliver Reed's good. I did not enjoy Richard Harris whatsoever.
Yeah, but he's kind of throwaway. He's barely in it.
I know, but geez, his scenes were the ones that dragged for me in this.
Yeah.
Who was he again?
Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, yeah. That was the worst part. The opening half hour.
Once they sort of segued him out, it picks up the pace.
He's just such a drag when he's talking, and like, I get that he's supposed to be a frail old man, but fuck, man, those scenes just didn't have the weight they were supposed to have for me. That was probably one of the issues. And then the other, like the large scale CGI and green screen stuff, some of that is, because it's an older movie now, some of that had a few issues, but other than that, like Jared said, the action scenes are awesome, and just the performances for me, even Connie Nielsen, I thought was
she was really good.
And I don't necessarily rate her that high.
I would counter slightly on the CGI. Yes, it's older. Yes, there's a couple of sequences, but ultimately a lot of it's practical. Especially in the battles. The stuff in Rome and stuff.
It all looks shiny, and it just doesn't look like.
There's one in particular behind Joaquin Phoenix when he's out on the balcony, which is fucking terrible.
But there's shots like over the top of the Colosseum and things like that where you see a little bit of the scene, but it was pretty early on, and for the most part they did okay.
It was just the big bulk ones where you're looking at the Colosseum and all and a lot of time when there's birds flying across every single scene, it's got doves or something flying across.
It doesn't cut it.
Just sometimes they look a bit patchy.
But they do a really good job making the action scenes as practical as possible. So
the battle scenes are really well done.
They don't have to worry about any of that, and yes, their CGI is more kept to crowd sequences, some of the epicness.
Some of the bits with the tiger battle as well, with Tigers of Gaul. Some of the tiger sequences too, the green screen.
You can slightly see that it's not quite there.
For what they were trying to do, it's amazing. And like I'm with you in that. Like it's easily one of my favourite big budget movies the last 20. I probably wouldn't put it in as in the top films, but I loved it.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to start with some of the bigger stuff that I liked, and then cut into the
detail.
Break it down a bit. I think it's superbly directed. I think the action sequence is so well choreographed, especially for me the one where they come out with the chariots, and he keeps cutting to the low shot of the sword on the blade, and you see it chopping across the shields. And he keeps sort of cutting back and forth between it to get some understanding of how dangerous all that shit is. And another part that I think helps with how well directed it is, and and the choreography and that in the battles is the sword fights feel real. Like you feel the weight and the power of the swords, and you hear them hitting, and you think if someone misses the mark, someone's going to get their head cut off. You know, like it's all fairly.
It doesn't look like
legit.
you're throwing aluminium or plastic around. That's for sure.
I understand why you would say that it is bloated, but for some reason the pacing of it worked for me. I never ever looked at my clock and just went, get on with it.
It wasn't in the movie. It was just like individual scenes. Sometimes it was just like this could be a bit less.
A little bit,
just
a bit
a
of the
couple-
politicking stuff probably went on a little long.
There was just a couple of, like, one example, like, I remember just off the top of my head because it was the last one I saw, was when they're talking about there's a little back and forth about how they're going to free Maximus, and then they put him in the scene with Oliver Reed, and you kind of get nothing from it. You know that Oliver Reed is gonna be on his side.
Gonna do the right thing.
But he starts talking about I'm an entertainer and all this sort of shit, and we get about a minute of screen time just for Russell to turn around and say, you killed the man that set you free, or something like that.
He killed the man that set you free.
Yeah, and it's supposed to have all this weight, but it's like the bit before had the weight, and now I just kind of lost it.
Yeah.
The first half hour is a drag. It was a real drag. The initial battle is all right, but then Russell and Rock talks about going home. I don't know if he's talking about New Zealand, but he's talking about going home, but he's talking about going home. And that just goes for 35 minutes. It's just this back and forth of I'm going to go home. We get a introduction to Joaquin Phoenix, but then we get this little back and forth of Marcus Aurelius wants him to stay, and Joaquin Phoenix. I think it is like the 30-minute mark or something like that before we actually get that result. It just feels too long to get there because
That probably could have been trimmed. But again, this is what I'm saying. I just didn't feel it. For whatever reason, I just didn't feel it.
Well, that one I fucking felt.
And I was
after that, it picks up. The last hour is probably the best paced, I reckon, for mine.
Having seen it, I found myself looking forward to the bit when Russell's on that fucking cart in the slave train with Jim on Hunsu fixing his arm. I'm like, fuck, I want that bit just to happen already.
Yep. Yeah, and it's, in a way, it's a victim of how good the battles are, because some of the scenes in between, there is some excellent work in there, but a couple of times you're just finding yourself saying, when's the next one? They do a great job of stacking 3 or 4 of them on the trot in the middle. So you're just getting battle after battle, and they're all
the Gladiator
they're jumping up in level. So he's suddenly taking it up a notch. And I think the last hour is when most of the dramatic scenes hold the weight. And the story's really sort of coming together at pace. There's enough to hold it. So it wasn't a huge one for me. It's not like I sat there thinking, fuck, I wish this would finish. There was never any of that, but I was just there was a couple of parts where I'm thinking this could have been trimmed a little bit. Let's just move on.
All right, well, back to your likes, Adsy.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to counter that.
The acting's top class.
Yep.
Top class.
Acting's
across
excellent,
the board. Yeah. Crow has, to me, this isn't his best performance. He's a bit like Denzel. He won an Oscar for past work, for me. His work in The Insider was probably where he should have won the Oscar, but he is very good in...
I've got no problem with him winning for this one, though, because he does some good shit.
Because what would be considered a very sort of... He doesn't talk a lot. It's not a verbose role.
But he conveys
a lot with his face, his eyes. He's very... he's the perfect sort of gladiator... sort of build, And he's not cut up to ribbons, but he's bulky.
And the parts where he's like yelling and screaming are well placed because he's not doing all that. And then the fucking rage kind of comes out with the "are you not entertained" and all that sort of shit. It's well placed. It's not overdone.
And he's he really delivers. But Phoenix is the ace in the hole for me.
Yeah,
he is outstanding. He is such a simpering little twat.
And he's creepy as fuck.
But surprisingly, one of the scenes that I really like, which I was really surprised by, because I just thought he was a bit too, from my initial viewings, he was just a bit sort of blah as a villain in terms of what his motivations were, that he was just always just a real nasty bastard. But the sequence when he kills his father...
Yeah, that's awesome.
You actually feel for him when he says, I wanted you to to love me.
The
You
speech
don't
about-
love me.
All I wanted was a fucking hug, Dad.
The speech about the values.
You love
You know,
Maximus.
yeah.
You don't love me. You never did. And you feel like, fuck, this all
He's
he
not
wanted
wrong.
was acceptance from his father, but
Although
he couldn't get it.
Richard Harris's way to counter that is saying, you being shit
But
is
this
my
is
fault.
my
I'm not saying you're not
problem.
shit.
Yeah.
It's your shit, but it's my fault. And the bloke's like,
And
really?
but then he just reverts back to what he knows, which is, I'll kill him
Yeah.
and I'll usurp the throne, basically.
But that speech about values. You know, I didn't tick any of your values, but
Yeah. But I have other
I
things.
have
I have other
values.
things.
Those are values, and
Yeah.
they're just not yours.
It's
or whatever.
just, it's really well acted. It's really interesting.
His acting in that is...
Gives him a sort of
He's
believable. There's other shades to him.
Yeah.
Because I initially thought he was just a bad guy. That was.
I think he's like unhinged. Like he's got clear mental health issues, but he's got a base of motivation there that's believable, and you can sort of empathise.
And he
with him.
really delivers.
Yeah.
He really delivers. And him and Crow on screen at the same time is gold. You know, it always works. They sort of strike off each other really,
There's
really
a lot
well.
of chemistry there for sure.
Yeah. Oliver Reed too obviously has the gravitas to pull
Reed,
you know,
testicle grabbing.
the testicle grab. I reckon the best scene for him is his initial speech when he's talking about
The giraffes.
well, he's talking not out speech to the
to the
people that he buys,
Some of
the
you will
slaves and
die.
the soldiers, and he's basically telling them you're all going to fucking die here, die with honour, and all this sort of
Yeah.
shit. That was awesome. And also, as you said, Connie Nielsen and one of my old faves, bloody Tommy Flanagan, showing up with his
Sven Ollie Thorson.
awesome. That's another tick in the box.
It's just a really, really solid cast of good, experienced older actors, and then guys like Crow and Phoenix who were I wouldn't say up and coming, but they were
Yeah.
well, they were very early in their careers.
The bit part people are mostly pretty good. Rafe Muller's never been better.
Universal Soldier 2. Universal Soldier 1, whichever one it was.
What's his name? Digimon Honson.
He's good, but he's
really
only in it briefly. It's funny because I thought he was in it more.
No, he's very.
Because
His
then I
part's
remember
very
looking at
minor.
it thinking, he's
Well,
actually,
he's always there as an offsider, but he doesn't have a lot
he
to do.
doesn't have a lot to do. But
Again, it's just it's for a couple of lines. They were superficial stuff. A couple of lines about I want to see my wife and kids, but they won't die for a
not
long
yet.
time.
Yeah, not
So
yet.
you hear that, you're thinking he's not going to die for a long time.
I loved him in this. So this is the first thing I'd ever seen him in, and I was really... He's just good to have on camera. Like,
he
you
is
just
very,
enjoy
very
watching him.
got really good presence about him.
Yeah.
Production design, sets, costumes, all of that shit is
Top shelf.
top of the line. That's what I mean about the $100 million. It's all there, and everything looks good for an ancient Rome sort of picture where you've got all the the armor and all that. It looks fantastic. Even the visual effects, I think, cut it for that day.
For how old it is, it's awesome. Yeah, for sure. I remember I did a lot of, like, when it first came out, I was just reading articles and stuff about it, and a lot of the armour and stuff they made, and basically what they'd do is they'd have all the people in full rig on horses, and so they needed 250 people on the shot. They'd have 50 at the front, and they'd duplicate them going back with the CGI.
Yeah.
So you get a
Good use of CGI rather than...
Instead
And
of just
I believe
patching
they
the
did the
whole lot
same thing with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Very similar things with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, so like the Battle of Helm's Deep and stuff like that. Yep.
In the same way. The opening battle, I really like it.
Yeah.
Partially because of some of the shots he gets. The arrows, the flaming arrows, just hundreds of them going into the sky at the same time.
Yeah.
Looks awesome. Then there's a couple of slow-mo shots. They're coming down the hill on horseback. There's fucking flaming trees in the background, and I'm just going, Ridley, you've got me. You've got me in.
I think it's Game of Thrones fatigue, but I watch that now and I'm like, hey, it's all right.
Yeah, I know. We are spoiled.
The bit that got me. The best part of that battle was at the end when it's fucking down to Mano Imado and he's just going fucking ballistic. And there's a bit where his mate saves him, and then he saves him back, and then he's just he's going berserk.
The bit that I loved about that opening scene, or actually just going back to what we were talking about with Russell, like the first like that I had in the opening scene where it's got him walking through the field and stuff, and it flashes to him and he picks up the bit of mud and rubs it on his hands. And he's kind of like got this wistful look on his face, like he's thinking about home. And then you can see the look on his face where he goes, all right, now it's
ready to
business.
roll,
and I've got to do what I've got to do, sort of thing. Like, he conveys all of that in just one facial expression.
Yeah.
And then you go into that battle that you're talking about, and it goes from these guys being like, strength and honour, and we're all organised and shit. And then by the end of it, people are dying, and it gets real down in the mud and shit. And it's it sort of shows that there's no real glory in it. Like they don't actually want to be doing this. These people are just trying to defend their home. He says, would we give up? Like we'd do the same as these poor bastards. It just sort of conveys.
Just quietly, what a way to send a message that we do not want to surrender. We'll cut the bloke's head off and send him back on his horse.
Send him back headless, and then he'll roll his head in the mud towards her. It reminded me of when the Scots in Braveheart mooned everybody. It's the same sort of just fuck you, mate. We're going to go down with a fight.
What about the next man up? The next time you win a battle, you're like, right, we'll give him a chance. You're going to jump on the horse. I'll be like, fuck, I'm not getting on the fucking horse. You get on the horse.
Best of three.
Also, a couple of those lines in that opening battle, or just prior to it. Again, this is the luxury of a guy like Crow. He's got that voice, that gravitas, and something like,
Did he pull out the Book of Feuds?
On my signal, unleash hell.
And
then he's got
what we do in life
echoes in eternity.
Yeah. That said by someone else. Say, Jason Statham, or it's not going to have the same pull. That's what you get with these guys. It's like Denzel Washington in something like The Equalizer. The dialogue is rubbish.
Sequel to that coming up too.
I know. The dialogue at times is rubbish. Yeah. But great actors turn that into. It's
passable.
You can cop it.
Yeah.
And the dialogue here is better, but Crow gives it that extra bit of meat to it.
Yeah.
So it works. I love a good gladiatorial celebration. There's a lot of fire, there's a lot of grog, and there's a lot of meat on the bone.
Someone's eating a drumstick somewhere, for sure. And they're tearing at it. They're not just nibbling.
No, take that sliced shit back to the kitchen. We want her off the bone.
Where's all the brown meat, you fuck? I want some meat.
Surprisingly, they sell that to turkey legs at Disneyland. They actually, you come along with this fucking.
Are they painted brown so they look like the ones that Donald Duck used to?
I'm pretty sure they are painted.
Exactly
They're
right.
terrible. But in the gift shop, they have like shirts with turkey leg on it. Yeah.
Has anyone ever had good turkey? That's the next question, because it's always dry as shit. I don't understand that.
I don't know, but I love a good gladiatorial celebration.
Yes.
Everything's on fire.
All the Vikings.
If one candle gets knocked over, that whole place goes up.
Yeah. It's all heavily varnished timber and just pure alcohol on the ground and some straw for rooting in. So basically a bonfire full of people.
I agree that the Marcus Aurelius stuff is not as strong, but that the sequence where Crow actually he says, "Tell me about your home," and he goes into it, that's his best work. He changes instantly into someone he's happy, he's excited, and you see the man, not the warrior, you know.
He was actually talking about his house in Australia, about his real driveway and stuff.
Yeah. And he really nails that.
Yeah.
It's just really, really nice to see, like, because he's been kind of this grizzled sort of
doing the job he's got to do. Yeah.
And then you see the man, not the warrior, and I think that's a really, really good scene.
Yeah, it was a couple of moments in that. As I said the first half hour dragged, but there was a couple of those parts. That's one that you mentioned.
Yeah.
And then you get to Joaquin Phoenix doing his speech with Richard Harris. Those two were pretty memorable. But yeah, that's when he does a really good job of transitioning from that, I'm on the battlefield, to this is what I want, and you buy him as the tired soldier that wants to go home.
Yeah, wants to go home.
You
Same
really
as when Richard Harris, when Aurelius offers, it says, "I want you to be the guardian of Rome."
Yeah,
and he says, "Do you accept?" And he says, "With all my heart, no." And it's like, fuck, that's a huge, like, he just wants to go back to his family.
I'd be like, yeah, no worries, man, I'll see you there.
I'm going to go by Spain, alright?
Catch me, you bastard.
When he
I'm off the grid there.
When he says, "What about Commodus?" Like, Aurelius is like, "Oh, he'll accept my decision," and Maximus is clearly like, "Are you fucked? Your son is unhinged.
Yeah.
Like, he knows it's going to happen."
He's not going.
That's why he's so sure that he's been murdered when he turns up.
Just sort of touching on that as well, that like the storyline of the tired soldier who wants to go home, and then only for the man he served to die, have his nemesis take over and fuck everything up, and then all he's got left is revenge. It's fucking rock solid.
Yeah,
like it's absolutely rock solid.
Even going in a set in ancient Rome, it still works out just as well as any of ththese other kind of things.
And it
works in that.
It is set up really well. I thought they could have sped it up a touch, but it's set up really well. The high point coming and I personally, I think it's probably one of Ridley Scott's best moments of the films is when he finds his wife and son.
Oh.
And all you need to see is the feet.
Yeah.
You don't need anything
And
else.
snot.
It's not fucking.
All the snot.
I was going to say there's a large portion of dribble.
Yeah.
But Russell gives it
He was
all
committed.
you need. He just leaves the camera on Crow, and that's what you need. You understand as an audience member. Okay, I get who that is, and I
Yeah.
get what's happened here. And basically, that whole thing is just summed up with the kid gets cleaned up by the horses, and they cut away to Russ coming home. And you find that, and it's just him. It's just looking at him, and it's restrained, but it's fucking excellent.
That kid getting belted by the horses too. That was. I remember when I first saw that. I'm like, Jesus, like that's heavy.
He got fucking
Like, how
hammered.
cold? Okay, go there and murder these people. Are you just going to run a small child down with your fucking roughshod horses? Like, Jesus, that's hardcore.
Yeah.
You've got to be a sick bastard. to do
That whole sequence is tough.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they've just burned his bloody house down, they've killed his family, hung his wife.
After raping her multiple times, by the sound of things.
Yeah, it's
Nailed
not,
his
it's
little
not
boy to the
pleasant.
cross.
Not,
Like,
not pleasant
Yeah,
at all.
especially as all blokes that have, you know, families. You
Yeah.
just sort of picture yourself in his, like, riding on the horse, bleeding to death, and you're like, fuck, I've got to get back and try and stop this, and you get there and you're too late. Like, fuck, it's heavy.
Yeah, but you know, a lesser director would have thought, oh, we've really got to show how
Show their burned bodies.
Yeah, we've got to show how bad this is for him, so we'll take shots of it all.
Yeah.
And all fucking Ridley Scott did was show their feet.
Yeah.
And so,
It's
Joe
a very,
Russell.
very, very smart way of doing it. But again, it's trading on the fact that you've got these great actors.
Yeah.
So you can allow that to happen. The first gladiatorial contest, a bloke gets nailed with a fucking spiked mace or something as soon as he comes out of
And
the
his hair looks
door.
like a mace. He's got the spiky little hairstyle. It's like,
He
what?
comes out of the door and boom!
And then you got the other little bloke that's
Pissing himself.
and I think he's tied to Rafe Moller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
he just
fucking
cuts
cuts his arm off after he gets cleaned up. That was.
And then he
that was
starts
great
swinging
stuff.
his hand around and shit and hitting people in the face.
Yeah.
with it. That's awesome.
Essentially, when they get to Proximo, the movie picks up the pace really.
Yeah, yeah.
Heaps.
It gets really full on. And
It
those
also
battles are
starts to
excellent.
showcase Maximus's skills as a sort of a warrior.
Yeah.
Even in that
That
first
was a-
Gladiator where him and What's-He are chained together and they kind of get in behind each other to take on the bloke with
Yeah.
Did you
The
understand? Did you understand? When they're doing when Rafe Moller's doing the wooden sword fight to give him all
Yeah.
the red dots? Did you understand what the go was there?
No, I
So
think...
basically, the guys that were proficient were given a red dot.
Yeah.
Guys that weren't were given a yellow dot, and a red was stuck with a yellow.
Right.
So Maximus deliberately got himself a yellow dot because he knew it would mean he was stuck with someone that was handy.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So that was I'd never got that the
Strategy.
first
Goes,
time
oh, I
until
didn't
today.
get it this time.
Yeah, because he just stood there and got belted.
Yeah, and so they're like, okay, cool, you get a yellow dot, and that's how you got
Yeah.
stuck with Jim
Ah,
and
You know
Yeah,
what?
yeah, that's
I
good.
didn't see anyone get a yellow dot. I don't know whether I.
His hand got a yellow dot.
I don't know whether I got up to get a fucking bag of chips or something. I
No,
missed
you
the
get
yellows
probably
didn't
3 or
stand
4
out as
bags
much
of chips,
they're
half
almost
a dozen
like
bloody
bags they're
cokes,
wearing.
and you finally roll back in with your fucking...
couple of Tim Tams.
and then, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, but I never knew it until today when I was watching it. I'm like, oh, that's,
That's really cool, and
So
they
that's him
keep
being
that.
strategic.
They keep that throughout.
And it
Each
builds.
battle that it showcases more of what he's capable
Yeah,
of.
it builds. The second one where they huddle. The second one is the first one in Rome, I think. When they
No, the
huddle
third one's the
together.
first one in Rome. Second one is leading up to that,
Oh,
where
yeah,
he just
they
cuts
where
down
they-
6 blokes, throws his sword
That's
into the
the
crowd,
other
and
one,
goes,
that's
"Oh,
what I'm
you want
Yeah, sorry, because that's the one where he goes in by himself. So
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that one. But yeah, the one after that where they go to Rome is where the strategy really comes into place.
That's the Battle of Carthage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
In fact, that
We'll survive if we stick together.
that one's cool because it really showcases he's got strategy and
Leadership.
technical, and
And the
leadership.
fact that people just gravitate to him and just listen. When he talks,
Yeah.
people follow.
I loved all that.
After the second one, I believe it's the one where he cuts a swath and
Yeah.
then starts fucking yelling at people. He has a little chat with Proximo. Son's headscarf. The bloke looks like Kenny Rogers. He's got white hair and the unusually fucking orange tan.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was Kenny Rogers.
You got to know.
You know what his hair reminded me of? Teen Wolf's dad when he turns into the Grey Wolf. He's got the blowback like mane. If he had the facial hair, dead set, it would have been it.
All those battles are excellent.
Yeah.
And again, I don't have to say it. Keep sort of harping on it, but they're just so well choreographed.
Yeah, the camera
and
work's
really
awesome.
well edited.
But it's the first one in Rome too. Actually, is quite clever about the crowd, bringing the crowd into it.
Yeah.
because that's where, you know, Commodus has been built up as this petulant little fucking slithering snake. But there's moments that build up to that of when he's spitting the dummy if people aren't agreeing with him or he's not getting what he wants. And he's built up as this cowardly kind of character, and then he can't fucking bring himself to not be liked by the people.
Yeah.
It's funny, he got this position that he wants, but he's still fucking insecure about it and won't just say, fuck you, go on.
That would have solved all his problems.
Yeah, he's just like, the people need to love me.
Yeah.
He's still petulant.
Yeah.
That Maximus has got the power there. He's like, I want it, so I've got to fucking keep on side with these pricks and give them the thumbs up.
Well,
But it also has the best speech of the movie.
I was going to say, we're on the same page. But I was going to say, we can't go past this scene without talking about possibly the greatest.
Son,
Like, that's up there in the greatest one-lines. Like,
and I will
not
have my
one-lines, but-
vengeance.
Yeah.
In this
that was
life
excellent.
or the
It's
next.
up there with the Braveheart speech.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's fucking next level.
And
He
the
said
way he
that.
delivers it, and he kind of walks towards the camera, you know, and you can see the sort of the anger in his face and everything.
Yeah.
It's just really, really, really solid. Just quietly, the slaves seem to enjoy a card game involving a
Snake?
cobra.
Yeah, when they're playing on the drums and they slap it on the head, they're betting.
You know what?
Hard pass.
I fold.
I'm
Sorry, guys, I crapped out. My pants.
I'm going to play Connect 4. You guys can
There's a Uno game going on over in the corner. I'm going to join that.
Fuck, I'll play
That's more
checkers.
my style.
Is it Yahtzee?
No, in the middle of that one, there's only a brown steak.
Yeah, what are you playing with, fellas? Oh, they've only got a fucking little bug over there. I think I'll join that game.
But I'll tell you what, they're probably all thinking we're playing with house money because we're going to die tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, that's
so
right, yeah,
might as well
the
get
bike
rich
uses
on
shit.
money we can't spend on anything.
Yeah.
So.
Silly bastards.
I think the best scene in the movie is actually the fight between him and Sven-Ole Thorsen, and then throw in a couple of tigers just to really mix it up, make things a bit more difficult. I just think that one's really, really well done.
Yeah.
And it again showcases how good he is and how that killing this bloke is not going to get him what he wants. You know, he knows that the crowd now loves him, and if he chops the bloke's head off or whatever at the end of the fight, it's going to just.
But it's just another opportunity for him to defy Commodus in front of the crowd too, because he gives him the thumbs down, and then he throws away, and everyone's like, "Maximus the merciful!" And then the crowd loves it, and he's like, "Fuck this! Never happy! God damn it!"
Yeah, he's not happy.
It's so good, and you can see that on it. Like, I think like Phoenix is like, I think he's the best actor in the movie, like for what he does for his character. Because he needs to be a smarmy prick. I just think he's incredible in this.
Yeah. And he really twists the knife into Maximus too. He goes, "Your son squealed like a girl when he was nailed to the cross,
And your wife
moaned like a whole."
ravaged her.
I'm thinking, you bastard!
You sounded like Rowan Atkinson delivering the line. I thought we were watching
Holy Grail.
Black Adam, mate.
But even Maximus' response, Maximus' response to that one's awesome. When he goes, what's he say? Fucking the time for honouring yourself will be, so it will soon be at an end or something. Such a good line, and then just turns and walks off.
Yeah, come back. Even though I would be seething, I would kill that prick right there.
I actually liked that before they sort of put their plan in action, that Connie Nielsen and him sort of have that moment where it's like, oh, they're back on here, because it so kind of naturally came together. And, you know, he's for the whole, you know, there's a whole thing about them being previous sort of flames that's
I think
hinted at.
Did he cheat on his wife with Connie Nielsen at one point? That's what I got.
All I got myself was that they'd been together at some point,
Yeah.
and perhaps that she didn't want it. Well, I thought that she didn't want it to end, and he was kind of like.
I got that
So
he was
that's
a bit
why-
guilty. I think he might have cheated
that's
on
what
his missus
I
as
thought.
well.
It was something like that, or that, you know, something had gone pear shaped, but she still wanted the connection. So when it all happened, because he was fucking turning it back the whole time, you're not helping me, and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, forget I exist. That's
And she goes the extra mile and organises everything
With Cracker.
and says we're gonna get it to happen, and he eventually comes around to it. And then the final bit is, you know, that she's doing it all for her son, and it's, you know, conveniently the same age as his son and whatever.
Yeah.
And he comes around. I thought it all worked pretty well. I actually really like that moment where they kiss each other, and I'm like, it was natural. It wasn't forced.
No,
Yes.
it wasn't just like, oh, we have to have a romantic interest.
Yeah.
No.
It was organic.
And she actually had a role to play and played it really well. And eventually seemingly knew that the possibility was there that none of them were going to survive, but still went ahead with it to prove that I believe that you are the man that can do it and nobody else can.
Yeah.
Basically, you are the man that was made for the role that my father had
actually offered. Yeah.
And like when Commodus kills his dad, like there's a fair suggestion that she knows what he's done. Like she slaps him
fucking belts him
and then kisses the ring and says, she's in self-preservation mode, but she wants to get it across that she knows what he's done.
Yeah.
So just quickly before we get out of likes and stuff too, I've got a couple of lines when they go to execute Maximus in the forest. 6 blokes take him, and then 2 go down, and then he starts doing whatever, and old mate goes to pull his sword out, and he goes, the frost makes the blade stick. That's just fucking gangster. I've got enough time to tell you how dumb you are, and I'm going to fuck you up. That was awesome.
I love that. I love that. And it also, again, shows his knowledge of battle.
He's fieldcraft, so he just knows what he's doing. And then we talked about it a little bit earlier on, but fucking Oliver Reed's queer giraffe speech.
You sold me queer giraffe.
Queer giraffes.
My money back.
Mate. Not going to happen. That's so good.
The other bloke plays it well too, because when he's speaking, he's there going, because he had someone holding his
face off. He's got his method going. The other funny...
I don't think I'll be able to act. I'll be saying, let me go, you fucking prick.
Stop squeezing my testicles.
I'll make the ring announcer with the golden wig and the massive eyebrows.
Yes.
God, I love that.
Yeah.
His eyebrows are just a work of art.
I know.
They're Bob Hawke-esque. Not Bob Hawke, sorry, John Howard.
It looks like bloody couple of caterpillars.
And they seem to be cut into triangles or something.
They stick out and up like fucking horns.
Weird.
Those are good. But his voice is so good for that. It's got like that like guttural, like raspiness.
Yeah.
I don't believe that everyone in the arena could hear him though. That's a hard one to sell. Yeah.
By the time the end sort of rolls around, Commodus is just in full fucking bastard mode. He's just roaming around, telling his sister, "You're going to sire me a pure-blooded child,
or I'll murder your son."
And then pre-fight stabbing Maximus in the basically through the what you'd say a beard.
Yeah, he got him a lung wound for sure.
And then I'll just nail him, and then I'll just cover the wound. Let's get him out of here. He's just in full asshole mode. But it's great.
Fucking Lucius and his saviour of Rome line, little bastard.
Oh, yeah, no, he just took it. I'm Maximus, Savior of Rome.
And he's like,
I said that.
Yeah, that came out pretty well. Like, that's something to fucking...
And it's just the way Phoenix plays it too. He's like, who said that? He's guy looks at him like, I'm going to kill you.
Well, that's how the next good one too is fucking Commodus's speech when he's got Lucius on his lap. He's talking about the busy little bee. Yeah. Oh, that has so much weight. And the kid's sitting there like looking, going, "Oh, I've done something here, haven't I, Mum? I'm grounded. Something's gone terribly pear-shaped." But you busy little bee, like, he sells it.
Not long after that, he rolls out the, "Am I not merciful?"
So that scene there,
hey, you're a bastard.
he didn't tell Connie Nielsen he was doing that.
No, you are not merciful at all.
I would have loved it. That would have been a perfect, in a fucking parody of this, as someone in the crowd going, "No, you're a cunt."
that scene was talking about the method acting thing. He didn't tell Connie Nielsen he wasn't supposed to scream in her face like that. So they got that scene because he did it just off the cuff, and she really shit herself. So she was actually really upset by that, and apparently was like wanting to get off set and everything, like not happy.
Oliver Reed just shat himself because he was drunk.
Meanwhile, the fucking slave trader's like, "I got grabbed on the nuts. He just yelled in your face. Can we just take it down? Like everything's fine."
Yeah, I'm still icing my testicles.
Donald Trump's not on set. You're safe, all right? Like.
The battle when you were talking about how he's just going ballistic and stabbing and all that, but that last battle with Maximus is super satisfying. It's handled so well because
the knife into his throat.
But the punching before that, he does a backhand, forehand swing arm combo, and you're just like, yes!
But it's actually it's really short.
Yeah.
And he fucking disarms him. And then he's like, someone give me a blade or whatever. And
everybody just stand down. Don't give him anything.
And it's just raw. Yeah. Russell drops his sword and he's just like, "This is where I fucking wanted you for the whole movie," basically. And then he does the bastard move and pulls out a
Little dagger.
a dagger that he's hidden, and still it just means nothing.
Yeah.
It was so satisfying and so well done. Just the fact that they just got straight to it. They didn't drag it out for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was just short and sharp and got the job done.
And basically Maximus reuniting with his family in death. I wept openly.
Well,
I'm not going to
Dude,
lie.
that last scene
I
gets
wept
me every time.
openly.
That's his victory.
Like in
He was a soldier of
Titanic.
Rome. Honor him, and then they're like, "Who will carry him?" And I'm like, "No, it's well done."
But
Yeah.
the whole
It's
thing
just
about
like-
freedom and going
Yeah.
home. You win your freedom and going home.
and she
it's all
says,
like-
"Go to them."
He's fucking dying with a smile on his face. Like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
Really?
Little does he know, there's nothing when you die.
It hit me
You're a
deeply.
husk.
You're merely just a pile of meat.
It hit me deeply there. It got me.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
It's
Awesome.
really, really well acted. It's just everything about it is great.
Speaking of that pricks of humans too, let's talk about Quintus. In the first battle scene, he says, "I told you to move those things back," and then Maximus says they're good range. That puts him off guard enough to then fuck him over when he knows the Emperor's been murdered. And then in the last scene, when he knows he's been stabbed and he's had to cover his thing up, he throws his sword in the dirt instead of giving it to him.
Bastard. Yeah, he just
finally
handed
comes
it
to
to him
when
at
he
the
doesn't give him
very
his sword.
least.
But he is a prick of a
Hand him
bloke.
the sword.
Damage is done. So it doesn't matter if you don't give him the
The guy
sword.
can barely walk. Doesn't matter if you throw. Just give him the sword. I mean, if you throw it in the ground, you're being a real fuck.
But basically, that's all he had to do was get, like, all his men loved him except for that bloke because he showed him up once about the placement of some fucking catapults.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Quintus.
Yeah, we won that battle, mind you, and the catapults were perfectly placed.
Yeah, that's the thing, buddy. He just had to be in his bonnet about that.
Look, the thing about that, his death, is you actually care about him.
Fuck yeah.
That's why it works, and that's the reason. That's why, good characters stand the test of time, is because we're supposed to get emotional at the end. Because
Well, this has to be, for Russell Crowe, this has to be his role, right? Like, the one where you think about the biggest movie he did, this has got to be it, right?
yeah, I think
Like, he's
so.
been in other good movies, but
What
this
about
is
The Mummy?
his... This is his seminal role, I would say. This is his go-to.
Yeah, this is the one that everyone remembers.
his flagship, yep.
I mean, he won an Oscar for it, so he...
Probably threw it at someone at the after party.
Yeah.
Like, he's done, like you said, he did The Inside, he did Beautiful Mind, like, there's some other good movies in there, but this is, like, if I think Russell Crowe, best movie, this is the one I go to.
Yeah, agreed. I think Russell will rock, though. Mostly.
Has anyone got any more likes for this one, then? Because we've fucking been
No.
prattling on for quite a while now.
From a dislike standpoint, I had very little. The only thing that I didn't particularly like was the dream sequences. Ridley got a little bit laser focused during the dream sequences, and some of that stuff I could have done without. It just feels a little bit weird, jarring. You know, you've got opening doors and all this kind of random shit, and
It's all supposed to mean something.
weird
But
skylines, and he's floating. He's floating across the ground and all this sort of stuff.
Are you
That was
saying
a
this
fever
is,
dream, wasn't it?
given that your theory is that Ridley's snorting massive amounts of
Allegedly.
coke to get through his
Allegedly.
workload? So are you telling
I
me
said he
that
was laser focused,
perhaps he
that's it.
started dabbling on the set
Look,
and shot a couple
somebody
of dream
walked in.
sequences?
I'm not ready. I'm not ready just yet.
there's a scene with one of the earlier things when the slave thing, when they're throwing cocaine at the slaves. It really was the opposite.
Reshoots, dream sequence.
Guys,
He goes, they're about to do that's a wrap, and then you hear this. We'll do 3 to 4 more days of shooting. Hang on, Ridley, this was over. No, I've got a few other ideas.
Yeah, 3 days straight.
I've also written 3 alien scripts.
Fucking productive. Ridley took a toilet break and came out with 3 alien scripts.
and Prometheus.
And they're reading through this like pieces of toilet paper with like scribbled notes.
And it's
on
written in
it.
code because he's that fucking high.
And they're like, "What is this?" It'll all make sense later.
In 6 movies, this will pay off.
Did you guys? By the way, actually, sorry. No, let's finish with the dislikes because that was my only real major dislike.
Well,
I just found that those sequences, those dream sequences, just a little bit.
It was a bit
weird.
overused. They were a little bit overused. Like there's the fever dream bit when he's first in the slave caravan. That kind of makes sense. But at the start, he's dreaming of home. He does a lot of daydreaming. Well, like when you like
It's a fever dream, all right.
because he's in a fever, right? Because he's got the fucking wound that's got maggots in it. Like,
I think so.
It was in a fever.
I'll give him we kind of
All
mentioned,
legend, thank you.
we kind of mentioned a lot of this other stuff. We did. I talked about the little bits of here and there with the patchy with the CGI on the green screen.
Yeah.
It's not massive. You talked about when the horses are riding down into the battle. They use a technique for the slow motion, which is kind of like jumpy. It's like stop motion.
Yeah.
It's really off-putting.
It only happens occasionally, but it agreed.
stands out. It looks weird.
There's actually one in the opening battle where Russell turns and I think he sort of crosses paths with one of his mates, and it's really
Yeah, because he does like the thing. He's going to stab the bloke, and then he sort of smiles at him.
that and it's kind of choppy. I'm not really sure what that is.
It just really takes you out of it.
In place.
And there's a couple. Actually, I talked about when he does the blade sticking bit.
Yeah.
There's 6 blokes there, and inexplicably 2 of them branch off to go and execute this fucking gun swordsman. Why wouldn't all 6 of them be there to go? Like,
you make sure that guy's dead.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah, I'm not leaving this to you two fools. Remember that last execution? You fucked that one up too.
Yeah. You take 6 guys down there, and you know what? You do what they did to Proximo.
just get everyone into him. Yeah.
They learnt their lesson.
And then I was just talking about Maximus's wound when he's in the thing, and then he's got this huge gaping fucking hole in it, and then he's carving off his tattoo.
Yeah.
2 scenes later, it's a clear shot of the same arm, and it's perfect, just unblemished skin.
Is it? Oh, they must have got that
they've
right.
made some terrible issues with continuity
type of
there.
thing, yeah.
So that, and I just see that sort of stuff because I'm a weirdo. But
And I think we sort of we put it during the likes discussion, but the Maximus, the Marcus Aurelius stuff is where it's slowest.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you just wanted that bit to be over so you could get to
And
the.
Harris is a bit of a weak point.
That was the thing, it was sort of half an hour that didn't really advance his character much. We knew that he wanted to go home, and we knew that Marcus Aurelius wanted him to be the leader at a certain point, and
That half hour could have been 15 minutes.
it wasn't particularly riveting. It gets riveting when Phoenix comes in and starts delivering that speech.
And suffocating him.
Yeah, as I said, some of the outside stuff was a little bit tedious. I thought it could have been sped up a little bit, and I mentioned the examples of the bloated stuff, but there wasn't a lot else that I disliked. There was a couple of moments where I thought the score was overdone. The score, for the most part, I thought was pretty good.
Is that score from Pirates of the Caribbean as well?
Well,
I think they might have.
Yeah, I think
posted
they
a few.
took it from this.
Yeah.
I think there was a few points I remember
works
where
both ways.
It's
It's the same.
It's there.
could have used a bit of Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, true.
Fucking cut his head off.
The final song though, that "When We Are Free," that is such a cool song to finish on. I love that
Oh,
one.
it's not as good as Peace in Our Life. I think. Did everybody watch that film?
Yes, I did. Fuck, that's enough of that. Thanks.
It's magic.
But he was modelling his look after Sly.
He was. He thought he was Sly, I think.
He just had the same haircut. He thinks I look enough like him that I'll get into whatever clubs I want to. But yeah, the scores. There was a few times where everything you needed was on the screen, and it just could have been restrained a bit more. But you fucking got belted around the head with the conductor's baton, and it just a little bit more restraint in a couple of parts would have suited. And the last dislike I had was that when you said Gladiator, I got really excited and thought we were watching the boxing movie with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Brian Dennehy.
Oh yeah, head's
about to-
hardest part of the body.
The good Gladiator movie.
I'm about to punch you in the head. Fuck.
So is that all dislike?
Yes, that's all I have, mate.
That's me.
Mate, fantastic film.
It
for
might
me.
have worked me up till 4 while we were speaking.
Does anybody remember the talk of a sequel
Yeah. When
written
he's
by
in
Nick
heaven
Cave?
or something.
So what?
Even
He's
Ridley
clearly
Scott,
dead.
Mr. Laser Focus, passed on that.
Yeah.
How do you do a sequel to
It was all about Maximus
he was
being
going
in
to- he
heaven
was
or
going
in
to
hell
heaven,
or
yeah.
something.
No, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Very
It
stupid.
was very stupid.
Yeah, fuck, I'm glad that never
Don't really
happened.
know why.
It's up there with the 7 sequel where fucking Morgan Freeman gets bloody
Was that called 8?
supernatural powers. There was a script
I've
for
heard
a
about
sequel to
this.
7 where he gets like bloody ESP or something.
Yeah, he's like a seer. He walks into crime scenes and just knows what that sort of
Oh, thank
Sounded
God that didn't
terrible.
happen.
Yeah, no, that's hard.
There was supposedly a sequel kicking around. I think Nick Cave got sort of asked to write it. And I think he was sort of going,
What? How much coke did Billy have?
Yeah, everything was on the phone earlier. He was talking really fast. He mentioned the Gladiator.
Sounds like he's not cold.
Said he's got 17 scripts lined up. He wants you to write one of them.
But thankfully it never came to pass.
Good.
Because I think it would have sullied the reputation of this film. But that is Gladiator. If you want to get in contact with us, send us an email at thrillme@ionet.net.au. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia and at Podomatic at thrillme.podomatic.com. And make sure you rate and review us on iTunes and Podomatic. Our next episode, keep an eye on the Facebook page. We'll let you know what's obviously coming up. But until then, take it easy and we'll catch up with everyone later. Cheers. Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at ionet.net.au.